You're watching ABC News Channel 27.
She was the people's princess, whose fairy tale life mysteriously collided at over 60 miles an hour with the 13th pillar in a dark tunnel in Paris. Tonight, Primetime joins best-selling crime writer Patricia Cornwell on a 4-month investigation into a story now back in the headlines, the death of Princess Diana.
They want to know what happened. Did their beloved princess die in an accident, or was she assassinated?
Was it a simple car crash?
Drunk and speeding. Nothing else.
Or was it murder?
It was not an accident.
Riveting new details. Correspondent Elizabeth Vargas and Patricia Cornwell.
So Henri Paul never hit the brakes?
It does not appear that those brakes ever engaged.
Exclusive interviews.
If I remember, they'll kill me.
And an autopsy cloaked in secrecy until now.
Was there an examination to see if she might have been pregnant?
Yes, there was.
Tonight, a must-see Primetime.
The more I look into it, the more I have to say that I personally cannot dismiss the possibility of negligent or even premeditated homicide.
Patricia Cornwell investigates the death of a princess. Under the crime scene tape.
I couldn't even make this up in a novel.
Patricia Cornwell, the world's most famous crime writer,
This is a gothic nightmare.
joins up with Primetime on a series of real-life cases.
A body can completely skeletonize in 2 weeks.
Unparalleled access to the secrets of the crime scene investigators. The death of Princess Diana. Charles Gibson and Diane Sawyer are off tonight. Now from London, Elizabeth Vargas.
As soon as the smoke cleared in August of 1997, the questions began. Was Princess Diana's death the result of a simple accident, or was it something more sinister? Overnight, conspiracy theories blossomed, and 6 years later, they are still going strong, including Diana's own fear that she would be murdered one day in a car accident. Could it be that it's simply too difficult to believe that a life as vibrant as Diana's could end so randomly? Or could it be something more? Normally, there would be no way to get on the inside of a case like this, but tonight we have a guide. Patricia Cornwell, famed crime writer, has gained unparalleled access to some of the key players and uncovered never-before-revealed details of a case that simply won't go away.
It seemed so unimaginable that someone who had been so much bigger than life had been killed in such a seemingly random accident. The Princess of Wales, along with Dodi Al-Fayed, son of controversial billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed, dead in a simple car crash. But almost from the beginning, there were those who said there were darker forces at work here.
I want to believe this was an accident. I don't want to believe someone murdered those people. But I've done all this research and investigation into this, and I'm saying, you know, I even have questions now.
Cornwell's search for answers begins not with the night of the crash in Paris, but the next night, with a burglary on quiet Mowbray Road in London.
My wife looks down the stairs to see the front door is wide open. Naturally, she begins screaming.
Lionel Chereau is a photographer who also buys pictures for a French photo agency. At the crash site in Paris, most of the paparazzi have been rounded up by the police, their film confiscated. But a few leave before the police arrive. One of them calls Chereau to tell him he has photos to sell and will email them. Now the burglary at Chereau's house. Surprisingly, his expensive cameras and equipment have not been stolen.
What they had done, which is absolutely extraordinary, is they actually shut down the computers and removed all the hard drives.
All of the photos stored on his computers are gone.
Couldn't it be fellow paparazzi, competitive paparazzi, breaking in to get the pictures
Well,
of the
for
accident?
me to answer that is to speculate, but based on the descriptions of these burglaries, they were certainly done by people who are very adept at that type of entry.
The day after the burglary, Chereau says he receives a mysterious visitor.
This gentleman came wearing a grey suit, I remember, he had grey hair.
Chereau says the man tells him he had not been burglarized. Instead, he used the word targeted and hinted at government involvement.
And he said, well, you can call them what you like. Grey men, MI5, MI6, MI7, MI8, MI9, special branch, local henchmen, anything you like. But the person who came into your house had a map of your house, had a key into your house, and knew exactly where to go.
From the beginning, police worked to keep information about Diana's injuries private, photographs seized, her autopsy sealed. But Cornwell believes the dead need to tell their own stories, and so she penetrates the secrecy.
There was a sense in which she did occasionally stop and say, this is the Princess of Wales.
Robert Thompson was the morgue assistant who took part in both the autopsies of Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed.
This damage is happening to one of the most photographed bodies I've ever seen in my life.
What injuries did each of them, Dodi and Diana, sustain?
Dodi sustained massive injuries, massive internal injuries.
Diana, by contrast, looks almost untouched on the outside.
She had a broken arm. She had an unusual puncture wound in her hip that nobody has explained how she might have gotten it. She had, of course, the torn pulmonary vein, which was what her cause of death appears to be.
Later, the morgue assistant will reveal even more critical evidence from the autopsy, but Cornwell will quickly discover that Diana's torn pulmonary vein is about the only fact not still in dispute.
What you get down to is, again, we don't have as much fact as we have questions. And there are people who are in serious pain because these questions have not been answered. They want to know what happened. Did their beloved princess die in an accident, or was she assassinated?
Cornwell's forensic investigation continues as Diana's and Dodi's lives seem to be spinning dangerously out of control.
So let's talk about the day of August 30th in '97.
They landed at a private airport, hoping for a quiet romantic day in Paris, only to find the paparazzi waiting for them. Henri Paul, the man in charge of security at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, meets their private jet. Looking back on that day from the yacht they had been on only that morning, Cornwell gets an uneasy sense of the pressures, enormous on all sides. Dodi Al-Fayed trying to woo the princess amid the glare of the headlines. Buckingham Palace, rocked by tabloid speculation that Diana might soon be engaged, might even be pregnant. And Diana, trying to live her life outside the shadow of the royal family, and inside what some said was the growing shadow of her own paranoia.
She said, I'm sure I'm being listened to.
Paul Burrell was Diana's butler and close confidant. The letter he says she sent him, released last week in his new book, has created a firestorm in England.
She did say that she felt that, someone could tamper with the brakes on her car, not just to me, to other friends around her.
What do you think when you hear about that letter?
She is not stating something that she knows as a fact is going to happen. But what is significant is it shows a level of fear that she suffered.
Royal watcher Anthony Holden.
She was being spied on by her estranged and then ex-husband's staff. Her every move was being scrutinized and so on. And I think to the extent, while alive, that she was paranoid, I think she had every reason to be.
Cornwell next visits Mohammed Al-Fayed, who tells her of a conversation he says he had with Princess Diana.
And what exactly did she say about feeling like she was being threatened?
If anything happened to me, be sure that Prince Philip, he is the person who hates me, who really frightened me. Day and night, at night she wakes up just frightened,
I mean, he's made all sorts of wild accusations. He's accused Prince Philip of being behind this.
He is absolutely enraged. And I asked him, I said, why are you doing that? Why are you saying something like this? And do you want him to sue you? And he said, yes, I want him to sue me because then there'll be disclosure. I want to take him to court and find out what he knows.
Back in Paris, the princess who had predicted she would be killed in a car crash spends her last day in a succession of car rides. After landing at the airport, she and Dodi make one stop and then go to the Ritz Hotel to rest. During this time, Dodi Al-Fayed slips out to the high-end Reposi jewelry store. All this will turn out to be critical.
And then they were supposed to go have a dinner at a very trendy restaurant, and Dodi or somebody decided the paparazzi were so out of control, this was a terrible idea, so they went to the Ritz instead and Still, everything was so out of control.
The two eat behind the bulletproof glass of the Imperial Suite.
While they were dining, a call went out to their security that their plans had changed. And Henri Paul, who had been let go for the evening at 7 o'clock, was telephoned.
Well, this is where it gets really murky.
Even now, no one will ever discover where acting head of security Henri Paul has been for the last 3 hours. The plan that night was to take one more trip, drive back to Dodi Al-Fayed's apartment on the glamorous Champs-Élysées. At the last minute, it was decided that they would try to slip out the back door to avoid the paparazzi. They would travel in a single car with only one bodyguard. Henri Paul took the wheel of the Mercedes 280. Sitting next to him was bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones. In the back, Diana and Dodi. 20 minutes after midnight, they set off. Minutes later, something happened in the Alma Tunnel, and Patricia Cornwell is about to make a startling discovery. When we come back, the crash report and the clue Cornwell says everyone else missed.
So Henri Paul never hit the brakes.
It does not appear that those brakes ever engaged.
When Primetime continues.
Oh, what a night. Aren't you glad we're home? Doesn't that bed just cold to you?
It's different for people with acid reflux disease.
It's saying, when you lie down, you'll have heartburn hot enough to steam the wrinkles right out of your jammies.
Why wait? Talk to your doctor about the purple pill called Nexium. For many people, with one prescription Nexium daily, heartburn goes away and stays away.
I can almost hear that acid wearing away the lining of your esophagus.
And Nexium actually heals acid reflux erosions in the esophagus. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. Talk to your doctor. The most common side effects of Nexium are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Want acid reflux relief and healing?
Sweet dreams.
Ask about Nexium today.
It's too big to miss. The biggest sale of the year at JCPenney. Saturday, everything's on sale, no exceptions. Buy one, get one for 88-cent specials all day. It's so big, we're open late. Everything's on sale at the biggest sale of them all. JCPenney.
These are the Jones boys. And this is Mom, who's found a way to keep up with the Joneses. Pledge wipes with orange oil. The only wipes with both the power of orange oil to help her clean fast. And Pledge conditioners to make the shine last. Because this isn't just any wipe with orange oil. It's a Pledge wipe with orange oil. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Only the lonely. To every computer geek who was occasionally able to secure a date solely based on his ability to fix a girl's computer, we really apologize. New AOL 9.0 Optimized with Computer Checkup scans your computer for common problems and helps fix them. Very good news for some, and not so good.
Need help?
No thanks.
For others.
It's always been our dream to run a bed and breakfast. Then I had to go on chemo, and it just drained me.
If you're on chemo and feel tired, you may be anemic.
We even talked about canceling our guests.
Talk to your doctor about Procrit for chemotherapy-related anemia in patients with most kinds of cancer. Procrit helps rebuild red blood cells, and more red blood cells can mean more strength.
Here come the meals.
Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo.
Here, there's no slowing down.
Friday, The Prey, Jennifer, Courtney, J-Lo, Winner, Michael, The Hunters, The Paparazzi. Now, Friday, armed with cameras and the thrill of the chase, an inside look at the paparazzi from their side of the camera. Just how far will they really go on 2020 Friday?
Scene of the crime continues.
What happened that night in the tunnel? After a 2-year investigation, the French police had their answer. But as Patricia Cornwell begins to look into it, she discovers troubling and unanswered questions.
For French investigators, the cause of the crash that killed Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed and severely injured bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones could not have been more straightforward or more tragic. According to French investigators, Henri Paul was drunk and under the influence of antidepressants when he drove at high speed into the Alma Tunnel, sideswiped a slow-moving Fiat Uno, lost control, and careened into a cement pillar.
For us, this was an enormous job.
Martine Montai headed up the investigation. She has never before spoken publicly about the case.
And we went through all of this to arrive at our conclusion. It's that simple. It was not part of the plot.
No foul play found, according to French investigators. Do you think the job was thorough?
I think the police investigated it as seriously as they possibly could. And don't forget, what really drove this investigation was the toxicology. When that toxicology report came out and stated that Henri Paul was 3 times the legal level of alcohol, it was accepted that this accident, quote, was caused by him losing control of the car.
But was the toxicology report accurate? Was Henri Paul drunk?
We have seen the videotape that we see from the Ritz security cameras. We see Henri Paul going through the doors, little sort of freeze frames of him motioning. Wouldn't he have given some sign with that sort of blood alcohol level that he was impaired?
The way people handle their alcohol can differ from one individual to the next.
A bar tab shows that while he waited for Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed to finish dinner, Henri Paul had 2 drinks, not nearly enough to account for the alcohol level found in his blood.
Trevor Reese Jones to this day says he never thought Henri Paul was drunk when he got in that car with him.
It is eyewitness accounts like these that have Mohammed Al-Fayed claiming the toxicology report is wrong. Fabrice Dubest is a lawyer for Mohammed Al-Fayed.
One of the main questions raised by Mr. Al-Fayed is whether or not the blood samples which showed that level of alcohol are really Mr. Paul's.
Was the blood sample really Henri Paul's? A simple DNA test could determine that, but French judges have refused to allow DNA testing.
Why won't they do that?
We don't know.
But there is perhaps a bigger question about the toxicology report, the carbon monoxide level in Henri Paul's blood.
A 20.7% carbon monoxide level or saturation, which to this day and after stringent investigation on my part does not make sense.
Remains unexplained.
Unexplained and very worrisome. And maybe if you want to push a conspiracy theory, maybe that's the point of those results, is to say, hey, look how impaired this guy was. That explains why he crashed the car. But maybe it's too perfect a crime if you paint it that way, because 20.7 is too high. It's beyond explanation, because you have to be able to say how he got that.
For Cornwell, with her background in forensics, if the toxicology report is wrong about the carbon monoxide, it raises questions about everything else.
No way that you can get that kind of carbon monoxide level in your blood.
No, let's talk about how you could get it, okay? Could you get that high level from smoking cigarettes? Absolutely not. Could you have gotten it from carbon monoxide inside that tunnel? I don't think so at all.
And Cornwell talked to Dr. Frederick Maillet, a good Samaritan who stopped to give aid in the tunnel just minutes after the accident. He says firemen who arrived shortly after he did were wearing carbon monoxide detectors. None sounded an alarm.
What about the engine?
It probably stopped before Henri Paul even impacted with the steering wheel.
So where did the carbon monoxide come from? The French investigators offered up a simple explanation: the Mercedes airbags.
So for years everybody explained it away as the airbag?
They say it now.
So Cornwell ran her own test. Primetime has the American equivalent of the fateful 280 Mercedes rigged up with high-speed cameras and a sensitive carbon monoxide detector.
We're rolling here.
And triggers the airbag.
2, 1, 5. Peak on the CO is 57 parts per million.
When you break that down to a percentage, it's
Very,
a
very low.
0.0056 or 0.007. I mean, it's almost doesn't exist.
Right. The airbag emitted only trace amounts of carbon monoxide.
So how do we explain 20.7? That really bothers me. Did somebody make an error? Was it really his blood? And here's worst case scenario, was it a deliberate mix-up?
Has there ever been a case where somebody swapped blood?
Well, in the Preppy murder that was attempted, in the trial of Robert Chambers. Robert Chambers pled guilty to strangling Jennifer Levin in the famous 1986 Preppy murder case. But what most people don't know
is he almost got off. A blood test of his victim astonished everyone by showing high carbon monoxide. The defense prepared to argue she died in a car, but the DA suspected a mistake, or worse. She ordered a retest. It turned out they tested the wrong blood.
We are such devotees of forensic science to a point that it's almost dangerous now. We should question everything.
Cornwell soon began to find other unexplained things about Henri Paul's behavior that night, beginning with the route he chose to make the short drive from the Ritz Hotel to Dodi's apartment.
It's a straight shot down the Champs-Élysées from the Ritz. But instead of going that way, Henri Paul took a detour and went by the River Seine. And then at one point, he passed a place where he could have turned off, and he's actually not heading towards Dodi's apartment anymore, but heading towards the airport.
Have you come up with any plausible theory as to why he would have taken this circuitous route home instead of the straight shot?
You know, I have tried to stay away from theories because I can't prove theories. I've tried to look at what I can prove.
And what Cornwell says she sees is evidence of something seemingly overlooked by other investigators.
If you look at the police diagram of what they call the rubber or tire marks on the pavement, it has been stated in the past that these are skid marks. Well, they're not skid marks. These are what are called yaw marks, and they are made by a quick turn at a high rate of speed.
So Henri Paul never hit the brakes?
Well,
or if he did, they weren't working.
To check out her theory, Cornwell consults with David McAllister, a crash investigator from the United States.
If you go back and look at the tire marks again, at least from the scale diagram, they're not uniform. In other words, one is flaring out wider than the other. If he were braking and these are bona fide skid marks, meaning the wheels are locked from brake application, then they're going to be pretty much uniform.
Let's just put it this way, it does not appear that those brakes ever engaged. Now, I have to tell you something that bothers me, though. I said to several officials who will remain unnamed, did you look at Henri Paul's shoes? And they look at me like this. I said, well, you know, if you look at the bottom of the shoes, particularly with alternate light sources, you can oftentimes see what foot was on which pedal at the time of impact.
Because of the impact?
Yeah, because boom, you're hitting that pedal and you can get a little bit of an imprint. I've seen it in the forensic laboratories. But from best I can tell, there was no examination of the bottom of Henri Paul's shoes, and that would have helped tell us whether his foot was on the brake. And why is that important? Well, just to throw this out, let's say his foot was on the brake, but yet there are no skid marks. What does that tell you about the brakes?
The brakes weren't working.
That would make you wonder, wouldn't it?
But if there really was a plot, whose footprints were missing in this case? To see if there could possibly be any truth to these frightening claims, Cornwell makes a secret rendezvous with a spy.
Hello.
Hi.
When we come back, the man British intelligence didn't want you to meet, who says there is nothing that they wouldn't do.
This includes assassinations.
Yes, it does.
When Primetime continues.
What does a day free of depression feel like? Fill in the blanks. I woke up this morning
Ready to go.
feeling good.
Headed to work.
And I totally
Felt like myself.
People who suffer from depression are saying Paxil CR makes a difference in how they feel all day. Depression usually feels like a persistent low mood, loss of interest, and often some of these other symptoms lasting at least 2 weeks. Only Paxil CR's special coating allows for a controlled release for continuous relief.
All day.
Prescription Paxil CR is not for everyone. People taking MAOIs or thyroidazine should not take Paxil CR. Tell your doctor what medicines you're taking. Side effects may include nausea, diarrhea, constipation, dizziness, sweating, tremor, sexual side effects, injury, yawn, abnormal vision, or sleepiness. Don't stop taking Paxil CR before talking to your doctor, since symptoms may result from stopping the medicine or from your original condition. Ask your doctor why Paxil CR helps so many people feel
Like me again.
The verdict is in. Runaway Jury is a runaway hit. What'd you do, threaten his family? Powerhouse performances. I can't protect you. With a walloping surprise ending. Don't underestimate me. Runaway Jury, rated PG-13. Now playing.
You want half?
Sure. Hey, your half's bigger.
Yeah, you're right.
Grand's flaky layers.
How's that?
Big enough to share.
Daddy, you're home. Let's read.
Not a good time for a headache.
The moment of choice, Tylenol or Advil. Advil liquid gels work faster, stronger, better than Tylenol on tough headaches. For faster headache relief, advance to Advil Relief.
Then Boggs replaces your picture phone with dynamite and your head blows clean off. You do have an extra head, don't you, boy?
No, this is...
Props!
It's my commercial. It's my phone. It's mine. What's the matter, friend? Your phone don't take pictures. Uh-oh. Smile, baby.
So who should we send it to?
Stop the
Picture mail from Sprint. Now at Sprint stores. Get a PCS Vision picture phone for $99.99.
Ow!
It's too big to miss. The biggest sale of the year at JCPenney. Saturday, everything's on sale, no exceptions. Doorbusters and an extra 10% off sale prices 7 to noon. Everything's on sale at the biggest sale of them all. It's all inside. JCPenney.
AB's Scream Friday. It's a Lopez haunted house.
That was scary.
Try having dinner with it every Sunday.
Then on an all-new Married to the Kellys. Booyah! If you think your in-laws are scary.
I'm almost a professor.
Where? Transylvania Beauty College?
Think again. Then it's a ghoulish good time on a Halloween Hope and Faith.
What are you supposed to be? Yum?
And Life with Bonnie proves you're never too old to trick or treat.
What's love got to do with that?
All new TGIF. AB's Scream Friday.
This November, Sunday's Best gets even better. When a rookie's falsely accused, his training officers got his back.
Get out of my face, deputy.
Get out of here! A new 10-8 officers on duty and an enemy from the past. Brings ex-lovers together.
Let's go.
A new alias. Then, forced to defend a racist, you won't believe what he'll do to win the case.
It's a lie. It can get you acquitted.
A new practice. Sunday's Best starting at 8/7 Central on ABC. A family must find the strength to carry on. The special 1-hour return of 8 Simple Rules, Tuesday at 8/7 Central on ABC.
For 6 years, there have been disturbing allegations about the crash that took the life of Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed. Even suggestions that intelligence services might somehow be involved. But is this just the stuff of someone's overactive imagination? To find out, Patricia Cornwell heads to the south of France for a clandestine meeting with a former member of British intelligence.
Richard.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet
Patricia
you.
Cornwell. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, yeah.
Richard Tomlinson worked for MI6 for 5.5 years.
MI6 is the British version of the CIA.
That's a good way for people to sort of peg it. And MI5 is more like their FBI.
My tasks were essentially to run agents in foreign countries.
Tomlinson says his job was to recruit spies for England, but he was fired in 1995 when he announced he was writing a book about it. He was sent to prison for violating the Official Secrets Act. In the shadowy world of secret operations, Tomlinson says there are no rules.
As long as they're absolutely sure they can get away with doing something, then that's their only limit about what they will do.
This includes assassinations.
Yes, it does.
But was there a link between British intelligence and the crash? Tomlinson says yes. Henri Paul.
Did you ever hear of Henri Paul, that driver, having any connections with MI6?
Yes, I came across Henri Paul. When I was working in MI6 in 1992, I came across his personal file.
Tomlinson says he saw the file of an MI6 informant who was in charge of security at the Ritz. He believes that person was Henri Paul. Was there any way to corroborate Tomlinson's claims?
That's like, you know, I love this MI6 spy stuff because you don't call MI6 and say, can you check out this in your personnel records?
Hi, does Henri Paul work there?
Yeah, really.
But in Paris, Cornwell heard a similar story from Henri Paul's best friend, Claude Garec.
Did you ever have any reason to suspect that he might have any ties with any intelligence agencies?
Oui, je suis sûr que oui.
Yes, he says, he is certain. And what about the money? He seemed to have lots of it. He had several bank accounts, and when his body was recovered from the crash, he had $2,000 cash in his pocket. A lot for a man whose salary was less than $40,000 a year.
One of the things that supports the theory that Henri Paul may have been an informant for MI6 is that he had a lot of unexplained money.
He did have a fair amount of money.
For the investigator hired by Mohammed Al-Fayed, there is only one explanation for Paul's unexplained money.
Henri Paul was working for the security services, that we know. He had 7 different bank accounts with huge amounts of cash being paid in.
John McNamara also claims Paul was living in style thanks to his income as an informant.
He was spending more on flying lessons than he ever earned in salary.
Is he right? Cornwell, a pilot herself, visits Paul's parents to check his flying logs.
And then this is his pilot's log, which began about 1973.
She discovers the extravagant spending on flying is an exaggeration.
About 550 hours, approximately. That's not very much for 20 years, so he was not spending a fortune on flying.
What did the police think? Once again, Martine Montaille, who headed the French investigation.
But if we had found that, the inquiry might still be going on.
But the questions don't go away. Sifting through the eyewitness accounts, Cornwell finds a witness whose story sounds suspiciously like an assassination plot. Francois Levy says as he entered the tunnel that night, he looked in his rearview mirror.
J'ai vu les phares d'une voiture et les phares d'une moto.
He saw the headlights of a single car and a motorcycle behind him. Then he says the motorcycle cut in front of the car.
La moto est venue comme ça.
And then he says he saw a blinding white flash.
Un grand flash blanc. Là, à ce moment-là, la Mercedes est partie, a fait gauche, droite, gauche.
The Mercedes, carrying the Princess of Wales, swerved and slammed into the pillar. A flash of light causing a crash? Well, consider the eerie similarity to what Cornwell was told by the former British intelligence officer.
Yes, it does. I mean, when I was in MI6, I saw a plan to assassinate Slobodan Milosevic, who at the time was the Serbian president.
It was a contingency plan, he says, to kill the leader of Serbia on a visit to Geneva.
The plan basically was to cause his car to crash in a tunnel.
The former intelligence officer tells Cornwell the proposal called for using a flash gun, a device he says is used by British special forces to blind an adversary. A brilliant flash of light at just the right moment. Is this what the eyewitness says he saw?
Now, I don't know. I can't say that story is true. I can tell you this, that I know what kind of flashlight he's talking about. It's right here.
I had actually been given one of these flash guns years ago, but had never even taken it out of its case. I decided to see what it was really capable of. In a carefully sealed evidence bay at the Virginia Forensics Institute in Richmond, everybody protected their eyes, and we set off the gun for our cameras.
And if, in fact, that thing had been set off in front of Henri Paul's car,
I hate to say
in
it,
the car.
That is getting real close to the perfect crime.
Tomlinson says he testified in the crash investigation that he believed MI6 might have ordered Henri Paul to drive into the tunnel. Henri Paul would not have known it was an ambush.
Now, he would have been a fall guy, just someone who'd been duped
and
into...
that happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But Tomlinson had no direct knowledge or evidence of such a plot, and in the end, the judge ruled it was an accident. As for Levy and the flash of light, he is the only witness to have reported it.
You know, witnesses, God bless them, it's the Tower of Babel, where you hear 20 different languages and not one of them makes sense to the other.
And the eyewitness everyone wanted to hear from, the sole survivor of the crash, bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones, says he can't remember. But one woman who says he confided to her isn't so sure. When we return, a Primetime exclusive.
He said, if I remember, they'll kill me.
Primetime's Scene of the Crime. We'll be right back.
Cough at home? Take Robitussin. On the road? Take Robitussin. New Robitussin cough gels. All the power of Robitussin in easy-to-swallow capsules. Up to 8 hours of relief. Now, Robitussin for home and the road. New Robitussin cough gels.
Kohl's Super Saturday sale just got bigger. This Saturday, you'll receive a $10 reward for every $50 in purchases on top of great savings store-wide, like 40 to 50% off sweaters and 50% off all sleepwear. It's Super Saturday at Kohl's. Kohl's. Shop happy, sleep happy.
Look inside specially marked Hershey bars for a chance to instantly win one of 500,000 Hershey t-shirts. Or unwrap a bar with happiness on it and win a Mini Cooper full of Hershey bars. The Hershey's Happiness Sweepstakes. Unwrap something fun.
Before you take Prilosec OTC for heartburn, there's something you should know. You have to keep taking it for 14 days, heartburn or not. I'd rather take one Pepsid, just when I need it. Pepsid Complete starts controlling acid in seconds. Or there's new maximum strength Pepsid AC. It has double the strength of original Pepsid AC. Both last all day or all night. One. Now, that's a number I can live with. Pepsid, just one, and heartburn's done.
Did you see who took your sister?
He wore a hood.
And who did this? A witch. You're scaring her. She needs to be scared, and so do you.
From director Ron Howard, The Missing. Rated R. Opens everywhere November 26th.
It's Red Lobster's Seafood Pasta Celebration starting at just $9.99. Try one of our seafood and every bite pastas like creamy crab alfredo, or enjoy new dishes like grilled shrimp pasta starting at just $9.99. Now at Red Lobster.
Sunday, a startling revelation.
Hello.
An enemy from the past.
You shot her 3 times.
She's alive.
Will bring ex-lovers
I am walking around with a secret in my head.
closer
I've been lying to my wife for 3 weeks.
and closer than they ever imagined.
Let's go.
Alias, followed by The Practice, starting 9/8 Central on ABC.
Could Jesus have been married?
Is it possible he was married? Yes.
And were there clues to this hidden in Leonardo da Vinci's painting, The Last Supper? Jesus, Mary, and Da Vinci, Monday night.
Primetime's Scene of the Crime will continue after this from our ABC stations.
Available 5,000-pound towing capacity. Just one of the many reasons Jeep Grand Cherokee is so capable. Right now, get 0% financing for 60 months or a $3,500 cash allowance plus a 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty on Jeep Grand Cherokee. The best values in America just got better at your Jeep dealer.
Estee Lauder. The newest makeup collection with a chic bangle and tote. Just $27.50 with any Estee Lauder purchase. Now at Dillard's.
Wake up to ABC News Channel 27 Morning News. From 5:30 to 7, it's where you find your first news, weather, and traffic. Start your weekday right with your first local news in the morning on ABC News Channel 27, where news is first. Ghostly apparitions, strange sounds, and supernatural sensations. It's time for a Halloween haunt. ABC News Channel 27 will take you on a spine-tingling safari. Join the search for things that go bump in the night. The Ghost Trackers. Tonight at 11, turn to ABC News Channel 27, where news is first. Robert Burns has come home. See Robert with Amy Basista, weeknights at 5, 6, and 11 on ABC News Channel 27, where news is first. You're watching ABC News Channel 27.
Once again from London, Elizabeth Vargas.
In London, Karen McKenzie maintained this luxurious apartment for a man who will never return to it.
Yes, all his bits and pieces. He collected baseball caps. Every time he went to the States, he brought one back. And
Mackenzie was Dodi Al-Fayed's housekeeper for 11 years. Now she's paid to keep his apartment as kind of a shrine.
I mean, in this room, everything is just how it was. Like the magazines are all, everything's 97. The calendar is stuck on 97.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so nothing like that has been changed. Just everything is left as it was.
Why is it all preserved? It's Mr. Al-Fayed's memorial to his son. And you see this in the families of people who have been murdered. This type of death just puts them in almost a frozen state, like a bug in amber. And that's what I see when I look at an apartment like Dodi's is a grief that cannot find its way out.
Everything, the Perrier, everything is out of date.
But it's all there.
It's there as it was.
And a little note that he's got a little paperweight on.
All ghostly reminders for a father who cannot forget. But what haunts the housekeeper most is the man who cannot remember. Bodyguard Trevor Reese Jones, the sole survivor of the crash.
I saw him a couple of times. I mean, not long after he had come back into the UK, I saw him and I was totally horrified by how he looked, and I didn't want to let on that I was horrified by how he looked.
For months, Reese Jones lived in London as investigators tried to get him to remember the final moments of the fatal ride. Reese Jones said he had no memory of the crash. But as Cornwell talks with the housekeeper, she senses that there is more the housekeeper wants to reveal.
And this bit I never forget because I think about it all the time.
And bit by bit, it comes out. A secret worry Mackenzie has never revealed in public until now. Was Reese Jones afraid to say what he really remembered?
We were just waiting for the lift to come up, and he said, if I remember, they'll kill me.
We don't know who they is, or if there is a they. But what I have to qualify this with is, by then these conspiracy theories were rampant.
Did Reese Jones really say that? And if so, was he right to be afraid? Or weak and still recovering? Had he too succumbed to the conspiracy paranoia? As Cornwell sifted the pieces of this story, one thing was clear. For a conspiracy theory to have any basis, the relationship between Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed had to have been truly serious. Was there really reason for the establishment to fear that Diana was contemplating marriage? Cornwell goes to see Rosa Monckton, one of Diana's closest friends.
I mean, clearly he was making her very happy. She was slightly overwhelmed by him, because on the one hand, what she had always craved is somebody who could give her 24-hour attention, because she was emotionally deeply, deeply insecure. But having suddenly got that, she was beginning to feel slightly claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm. So it was a little scary.
It was a little scary. But when you get what you always want, you sometimes wonder if you do.
Monckton was painting a picture of a passionate relationship that might perhaps have been cooling. They had spoken about it less than 2 weeks before Diana's death.
There wasn't a single conversation that we had when the word marriage and Dodi came up.
And then there's the controversial matter of the ring. Were Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed really about to get engaged? Carlo Raposi says Diana and Dodi came into a shop in Monte Carlo in early August.
Yeah, she looked several rings, but like this model, that it's an optical effect from one stone and 4 triangles on the side. And
supposedly, they went in there and picked out a ring, and the name of the ring is Say Yes, which is not something that you just give because you're pen pals with somebody.
How much did it cost?
The jeweler wouldn't actually say. There's been speculations it was $200,000.
But Trevor Reese Jones has written that he was with them constantly in those days, and they never went to a jewelry store. Raposi has a video surveillance system, but Raposi says the tape with Dodi and Diana was taped over.
What we do know for fact, and this is where I feel comfortable when I get in the realm of evidence, is that on August 30th, about 6:30 in the evening, Dodi did go to the Raposi boutique that is at Place Vendôme, because Mr. Raposi has 2 shops.
We know that Dodi Al-Fayed went on the day he died because Raposi saved the Paris security video.
But I do have to wonder about the story of the ring. Would Dodi or anybody buy a ring of that magnitude for somebody without having any clue that she was going to accept it? I mean, that's pretty risky, especially to your ego.
I personally believe, through conversations with the princess, that she was enjoying her summer, she was having a good time, that he loved her, but she wasn't sure.
He was showering her with presents the whole time, and she was beginning to find it irritating. But there was a side of her that responded to that, as I just said, and wanted it and needed it.
But even if they were about to announce their engagement, was that enough to have launched a plot to kill them? The conspiracy theorists say there was one more big reason. Rumors that Princess Diana was pregnant were all over London, and the royal household was said to be outraged, especially because of how it could affect Prince William, Diana's oldest son, and the future King of England.
Why would it be a problem if Diana married Dodi al-Fayed, who was a Muslim? Why would it be a problem if the mother of the future King of England might convert to Islam?
Yeah, it's basically against the law. If William converted to Islam, I believe he would have to give up his right to be king. He would have to abdicate. Right.
So this was a major problem for the royal family.
If you're going to push a what if as far as it would go, it could have been a catastrophic problem.
And she was pregnant, and I know that. Yeah.
How did you know that?
She told me on the phone.
She told you on the phone.
Yeah.
But Rosa Monckton says she wasn't pregnant, and here's why.
I was with her 10 days before she died, and she had her period in that time.
And you're sure about that?
I'm absolutely certain about that. There were two of us on a very small boat.
That seemed pretty categorical, but Cornwell wanted to be completely sure. So she tracked down a name on a report and got more than she bargained for. When we come back, never before revealed details of the autopsy of Princess Diana.
Was there an examination on Princess Diana's body to see if she might have been pregnant?
Yes, there was.
Primetime Scene of the Crime. We'll be right back.
Okay, contestants. A teacher, an orthodontist, a dancer, a corporate lawyer. All you have to do is make your way from Bristol, Maine to La Jolla, California in 1 week. Oh, I almost forgot. You have to do it without cash, checks, or credit cards.
Excuse me.
Bye-bye.
There's a reason millions of people rely on the Visa check card.
Come on, let me borrow your bike.
No.
Lend me the bike.
No. It's accepted at millions of places across the country. From double features to double cheeseburgers. The Visa check card.
Decaf cap, triple tall non-fat.
To get you in, out, and on your way.
Well, these three have made it here to La Jolla, but where's our lawyer?
Visa. It's everywhere you want to be.
This Saturday, save on hundreds of appliances at Sears. Sears has the best selection with 4,000 to choose from and all the top brands, including Kenmore. That's why 2 out of 3 homeowners have an appliance from Sears. We'll make sure you find the right one. We'll match any price, plus give you 10% of the difference. Saturday, find hundreds of appliances on sale. Plus, get 0% financing for 1 year or free delivery on all home appliances over $3.99. This Saturday during the Great Appliance Event. Sears. Good life, great price.
Who can resist something fluffy?
You're my little fluffy one, my fluffy wappy one that makes my mouth go yum. You're my coochie woochie whippy-doo.
Whips from Yoplait. You won't believe how fluffy it is.
You make all my fluffy whippy dreams come true.
Whips from Yoplait. Everyone needs something fluffy to love.
Introducing a new Fantastic. Infused with active oxygen, Fantastic Oxy Power. An all-purpose cleaner with the power to clean all kinds of surfaces, even carpet. Where Fantastic Oxy loosens and lifts away stains. Fantastic Oxy Power. That's Fantastic Power. S.C. Johnson of Family Company.
Martha, why do so many people hate you?
Martha Stewart in her one and only interview.
Did you ever think that you would be thought of as a corporate criminal?
A Barbara Walters exclusive.
Do you have a terrible temper?
Friday, November 7th, the one-night-only exclusive event. Martha Stewart finally breaks her silence.
It hurts a lot, Barbara.
Only to Barbara Walters, only on 2020.
AB Scream Friday. It's a ghoulish good time on a new open face.
What are you supposed to be? Young?
An all-new TGIF starts 8/7 Central. AB Scream Friday.
Sunday, a black defense attorney, a white supremacist.
I know what you are.
Only one thing will free him from a charge of murder, but it's a secret he wants buried.
You will not speak of this.
All new practice, ABC Sunday.
You may want to take cover. We've had some reports of wild animals in the area.
Ooh, my. Come on, Donnie.
Wild animals? Where? Let's get out of here, lady.
The anniversary edition Dodge Caravan, featuring a no extra charge rear seat video system.
Thanks, officer. Keep up the good work.
Disney's The Lion King Special Edition on DVD and in Dodge Caravan. Now get 3.9% financing plus up to a $5,000 cash allowance, which includes a $500 bonus DVD coupon.
Scene of the crime continues.
In an investigation which has largely been cloaked in secrecy, there's one part of the case that has remained even more secret. The autopsies of Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed. They were conducted just a few miles from where I'm standing, at Fulham Mortuary in London. Patricia Cornwell, who's made a career writing about forensic science, penetrates that secrecy to discover what really happened there that night.
For years, conspiracy theorists have claimed Diana was embalmed in Paris before her autopsy in London, in order, they say, to obscure evidence. Now, for the first time, morgue assistant Robert Thompson helps separate fact from fiction.
People have said, look, she was embalmed, so that would have messed up a blood test or a urine test or any kind of test if you're looking for a very early stage pregnancy. So let's just clear that up once and for all.
Patricia discovers that there was no formal embalming.
There have been some wadding inserted into the body. I presume it had been soaked in formaldehyde or formalin because I could get that smell.
As for the persistent rumor that she was pregnant?
Was there an examination on Princess Diana's body to see if she might have been pregnant?
Yes, there was. And Dr. Chapman said, look, she wasn't pregnant. He said that quite clearly.
What does bother me a teeny bit about this story is, according to the morgue assistant, at one point the coroner called him over and said, look, she wasn't pregnant, and showed him the inside of the uterus. It's as if he's answering a question that I didn't hear asked.
But perhaps the biggest question of all, could Diana's life have been saved? To find out, Cornwell asks Dr. Marcella Fierro, the Virginia medical examiner, to review the case. When the crash occurred, Dr. Fierro says the impact created a small tear in Diana's aortic vein, which was not necessarily fatal.
If it's a small tear, and the one that's described in the commentary is 2.5 cms, that's about an inch. If the surrounding supporting tissues are intact, that could be a moderately slow leak over a period of time.
That injury is contingent on a lot of things in terms of its survivability, because it's like if you do a little tear to a straw, you know, depending on the position, is the tear wide open and allows for a huge amount of leakage, or in this case, inside the body, are the supporting tissues kind of pushing it together?
If that was the only significant injury in the chest or abdomen, if she had arrived at a trauma center, I believe the surgeons could have treated that.
The injury that she suffered to her heart is actually similar in many ways.
The pulmonary vein. Yeah.
To the same injury that President Reagan suffered when he was shot.
That's right.
And his life was saved.
Well, they got him immediately to the hospital.
But medical procedures are different in France. French ambulances are outfitted to be mini emergency rooms, complete with a doctor, but they are not equipped to perform major surgery.
We know that it took an hour and 40 minutes for her to get to the hospital, and that's been something that has caused quite an uproar with people. Why did it take so long? Could she have lived?
The first doctor on the scene, even before the ambulances arrived, was that Good Samaritan, Dr. Frederick Maillet.
He said he knew because of the way she was acting that she was seriously injured, but as he put it, she looked beautiful.
Her face was perfect. I mean, she didn't have any major injuries on her face.
I thought there's such an irony, because she never looked like what she was really suffering inside. Because here's this beautiful woman seated on the floor that way and looks picture perfect, and inside she's bleeding to death.
When French authorities arrived on the scene of the accident, did they realize immediately the extent of her injuries? Did they act properly?
That's why you need an inquest.
When we come back, the formal British investigation that hasn't happened.
I was hoping that after working on this for months, I could tell everybody, guess what? The evidence tells you they died in a car crash, and it was an accident. I now am more worried about it than I was before, because I don't like these yawning questions that are so inconsistent with people who are on the level and didn't do anything wrong and have nothing to hide.
For the latest video highlights, log on to America Online, keyword ABC News. We'll be right back.
Coming up on ABC News Channel 27 at 11.
Good evening. We have some safety tips for your little ghouls and goblins for tomorrow's big night.
ABC News Channel 27, where news is first.
What's the hot new thing in activewear? The Bengay Pain Relieving Patch. It's what everyone's wearing to get deep heating relief in a patch that lasts up to 8 hours. Try on the new Bengay Pain Relieving Patch. It's what's hot in pain relief.
Try the Rolaids that beat Tums EX in a new taste test? It's fruity, smooth. It's Rolaids Tropical Punch. Now for a limited time in a convenient to-go pack. For fast relief, wherever you need it. Go with the great taste of Rolaids.
Kohl's Super Saturday sale just got bigger. This Saturday, you'll receive a $10 reward for every $50 in purchases on top of great savings store-wide, like 40 to 50% off sweaters and 50% off all sleepwear. It's Super Saturday at Kohl's. Kohl's. Shop happy, live happy.
In 5 days, the #1 movie of the year is finally on DVD and video, packed with an ocean full of bonus features. Walt Disney Pictures presents a Pixar Animation Studios film, Finding Nemo, only on DVD and video this Tuesday.
When you store food, you want to keep it fresh. But wraps and foils can be a pain to use and don't seal well. That's why Glad introduced new Press and Seal Wrap. Just pull, place, and press for a spill-proof seal. Wow! New Press and Seal Wrap doesn't just cover, it's a whole new way to store food. It's strong and stackable. Seals tight to help prevent freezer burn and protects in the microwave. So try new Glad Press and Seal Wrap to seal in freshness in a whole new way.
The story America's been waiting to hear. Private First Class Jessica Lynch.
What was your first sense that your worst fear was coming true, that you were being left behind?
They called her a hero.
Did you fire your weapon?
What does she say?
The terror, the stark terror.
They said she didn't remember anything. They were wrong. A Diane Sawyer exclusive with Jessica Lynch. Tuesday, November 11th, a Primetime special edition at 10/9 Central. Scene of the crime continues.
6 years after the crash that killed Princess Diana, Cornwell has learned fascinating new details that for her simply deepen the mystery.
I was hoping that after working on this for months, I could tell everybody, guess what? The evidence tells you they died in a car crash and it was an accident. I now am more worried about it than I was before.
Buckingham Palace tells Primetime that while it sympathizes with Mohammed Al Fayed's own loss, it calls baseless his theories involving Prince Philip in the fatal accident in Paris. As for Richard Tomlinson's claims of MI6 involvement, the Foreign Office says there is not one shred of evidence to substantiate allegations of a conspiracy. As for Tomlinson, they say he seems to enjoy making sensationalist allegations. Finally, Trevor Reese Jones didn't respond to our request for comment, but he continues to maintain that he doesn't remember anything from the crash. But Cornwell believes these denials of wrongdoing will fall on deaf ears until an inquest is held and a public voice is given to what Cornwell maintains are still troubling questions.
There are people who are in serious pain because these questions have not been answered. And you can see the pain on their faces. They want to know what happened.
This past summer, 6 years after the accident, the royal coroner announced he would finally be setting a date for the long-awaited inquest into Diana's death. Mohammed Al Fayed hailed the announcement, as did others, but later that same week, the coroner reversed himself and withdrew his announcement. As of tonight, no date for an inquest has been set. I'm Elizabeth Vargas in London. For all of us at Primetime Thursday, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
The Wonderful World of Disney presents Phenomenon 2, Saturday, 8/7 Central on ABC.
Health experts visit the Big Bend with hopes of trimming down Tallahassee youth. But first, Tom, is a quick look at weather.
Well, the trick-or-treaters are going to have a great day. Fair goers, looks like another Good Friday, and the good weather is going to hold, we think, right on through the weekend. After that, there may be trouble down the road in the form of heavy rainfall. We'll look at that later on in the 7-day forecast. Now the news.
Alcohol and prescription drugs lead Florida's most lethal list.
And that's from a report issued today by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. The drugs most often found in autopsies are ethyl alcohol, or rather ethyl alcohol, tranquilizers like Xanax and Valium, and cocaine. The report says that aside from alcohol, prescription drugs continue to be found more often than illegal drugs. They attribute that to a disturbing increase in prescription drug abuse. During the first 6 months of this year, more than 3,200 Floridians were found to have died with drugs in their bodies.
Florida's Attorney General takes on allegations of pool prejudice. Charlie Crist is investigating the Southern Inn in Perry. That's where members of a Florida family were reportedly told, quote, colors are not allowed.